Hello, this is a video for the Algebra 2 final benchmark review. It says the wrong thing on my screen. It is definitely your final benchmark review. Part 2, we are allowed to use calculators in Desmos on this section, so let's get to it. Question number 1, we have a table of how many races that Peter has won, given in the form where x is the number of years since he started, and f of x is how many total number of races he's won. So if you kind of see, there is clearly a pattern. It is a positive pattern, so I know if it's going to ask me about average rate of change, if it's going to increase, we can get rid of these negative values. Now, average rate of change is slope. Slope is equal to y sub 2 minus y sub 1 divided by x of 2 minus x of 1. When you are given an average rate of change problem, it has to give you some sort of interval. The interval those are the x values. So what you're going to do is you're going to find when x is 2 and when x is 5. So if you're given a table, just look where 2 is and look where 5 is. So the y values are 7 and 29. Go ahead and plug that into your slope formula. So 29 minus 7, 5 minus 2. That's going to give us 22 over 3, and that's a little bit more than 7. So that is 7.3 wins per year. Question number 2 is a system of equations. If you are asked to find the solutions of a system of equations, you need to find where they intersect, not where it hits the x-axis. So the points where they actually intersect would be 0, 2, actually 3, sorry. So it's not that one, it's not that one. And then this one over here is 4 down 5, so it is B. Question number 3 is basically asking you kind of if you understand if x minus 10 is a factor, what happens when you plug in a positive 10? Well, if this is a factor, then the solution is going to be positive 10. Whenever you plug a solution into a function, it's going to automatically give you 0 back, okay? Now, if it gives you the function, it's not going to hurt anything. If you plug the 10 in there, you're going to get a 0. But if something's a factor, you can find the solution from that. And when you plug it into it, the y value will be 0. Question number 4 asks, what could be a cubic function? Well, cubic basically means anything to the power of 3. So what is typically to the power of 3? Volume. Surface area is typically squared. Perimeter is typically just x because you're adding things together, and then the area is going to be squared. So the only one that's going to be cubic would be volume. Okay, question number 5 is asking you to solve the radical equation. So I'm going to go ahead and start by adding 6 to both sides. Then you have to divide by 4. The reason why I'm doing this is because you want this square root to be isolated. And now that it's isolated, then you can square both sides. So squaring a square root cancels it out. 4 squared is 16. I'm going to continue up here. So if I subtract 1 from both sides, I get 15. Divided by 5, I get 3. You should check your answer, but if you plug a 3 in there, it will work. So that is your answer. All right, we've got a two-way table here. It gives us information. We have a class from 1 to 5, 6 to 10, and 10 to 12, and whether or not the students are left-handed or right-handed. The question says, given that the class is 1 to 5, okay, immediately, I know this is conditional probability, so I am only going to look at this section of the two-way table. I'm going to ignore everything else. It says, what is the probability that a left-handed person is selected? Okay, so a left-handed person is selected. I'm going to say that's 17 out of the total. How many total do I have in the class? I have 42. Now this question's a little odd. It says, what is the value of y? So I figured out the probability. So y is going to be 42. So that is the answer to the question. Okay, it looks like I've got question number 7 on here twice. Just completely ignore it, mark it out. Move on to question number 8. All right, number 8 is something that you haven't seen before. It is a matrix, but you have done these in Algebra 1. It says Diego and Brian, they're buying food at concession stands. It says Diego buys 3 hot dogs. I'm just going to let H be hot dogs. And then have 2 candies, C for candies. Total $9. So you've done this before. Brian buys 1 hot dog and 4 candies for $5. So what you could do, you could, like type both of them into Desmos, figure out where they both intersect. That will solve it for you, but this is not asking you to solve. It's asking which augmented matrix can you use to solve it. Now you don't know how to do that, but it's okay because I want you to look at the coefficients. You got a 3, a 2, and a 9. Which one of these match with a 3, a 2, and a 9? 3, 2, 9. That's it, okay? Now look, 1, 4, 5, 1, 4, 5. It has to be B. All you've got to do is just write out the equation and just match the matrix to the equations. All right, question number 9, you've got a tank that holds 21.2 gallons of water. I'm going to go ahead and use the T-chart to help me with this. I do know the conversion. It should be on your formula sheet that 1 gallon is equal to 4 quarts. So when you use a conversion, you have to put gallons on the opposite. So if it's on the top, you got to put it on the bottom so it'll cancel out. So I've got 1 gallon for every 4 quart. Cool. I've got to figure out how many 2-quart containers. So that means I have 1 container equal 2 quarts. So that is another conversion unit that I'm going to use. So I have canceled out gallons. Now I need to cancel out quarts. So I've got 2 quarts is equal to 1 container. Okay, so quarts is going to cancel out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply across and I'm going to divide by 2. So 21.2 times 4 divided by 2, that's going to be approximately 42. It's asking us to estimate or approximate it, so it's going to be A. All right, question number 10. We've got a crazy piecewise function going on here. It's basically asking you to figure out where it is increasing, decrease, or constant. Constant is going to be a horizontal line. It looks like it's a horizontal at 2. But the interval, though, the interval is going between 5 and 7. Where is that interval right here? 5 and 7. So I'm going to check constant here. Okay, increasing means it's going up the coaster. And now it looks like I've got 2 intervals. It's going to start at 7 and it's going to keep going to infinity. So which one, basically says start at 7? This one. So I'm increasing here. Where's the other one where I'm increasing? Right here. Where's the interval though? I'm going to follow it all the way down to 1 and then I'm going to follow it all the way down to 2. So it only increases between 1 and 2 on the x-axis, which is this interval, which means that the other one is going to be decreasing. It says 2 to 5. Let's check it out. Let me switch colors. So 2 to 5 is decreasing. Yes, I agree. So that works out. Question number 11 says a club needs to select a 3-member delegation to go to a convention. The club has 20 members. What is the probability of selecting each randomly selected 3-student delegation? There is a hint in here, the order matters. A lot of times when we were in class, we would say like, we're just picking a group. The reason why the order matters in this one is because it's saying each randomly selected 3 student. So apparently it does matter. Just trust me on that. Now I've got a total. It looks like the total is going to be 6,840. Now, how do they get that? We've got 20 members, and if the order matters, we're picking 3 of those. That's going to be 6,840. So that checks out the denominator. But how do we do the numerator? So the numerator is going to wind up being, you've got 3 students going, and you're going to pick all 3 to go. So 3 out of 3 is going to wind up giving you 6 different possibilities, which is choice A. All right, looks like question number 12 is asking you to do an exponential regression. You might not see the word regression. It might just say like, what's the formula that fits the data the best. So all you have to do is hop on over to Desmos, and we're going to input the table right here. So to get the table, you just have to click the plus sign and then select table. I've already entered all the data in the table. Remember when you do a regression, and we're going to practice this a lot more right before your EOC in April, but you have to type in y sub 1 and then tilde, because that way it's going to approximate your data, and then the basic form of an exponential function. So a times b to the power of x. But you just have to remember you have to put a 1 next to your y and your x. It gives you your values of a and b. So this is a and your base is b. And then I'm answering the question here. It says when the air pressure is when the air pressure is 10, that's going to wind up, you're going to plug that in for x, and you're going to wind up with 29.25 for this question right here. Yeah, ignore this one. Right there. Okay. All right, next question. It says given m is equal to the log. Now this is a common log, so remember there's a little bitty invisible 10 here, and then it's the log of a over 5. It says solve the formula for a. So let me go ahead and write this down. I'm going to also write base 10 so we can see what we're going to do next. If you're trying to get a by itself, we're kind of stuck at this point. So remember, if you get stuck on a logarithm or an exponential function, you need to switch forms. Okay, so to switch forms, you start writing the base, which is 10, and then you're going to say 10 to the power of m is equal to a over 5. Now we're way closer to our goal. All you have to do now is get rid of the 5. So we're going to multiply both sides by 5. Do not multiply 5 times 10. You can't do it because of the little exponent. So this is my final answer, and it matches choice A. Okay, question 15 is just trying to figure out if you know the difference between the x and the y-intercept and if you understand intervals. So the x-intercept is right here and the y-intercept is right here. Now, intervals are always on the x-axis, always, always, always. So your y-interval is going to be somewhere between here and your x, I said that wrong, your y-intercept interval will be in the yellow section, and then the x-intercept interval will be in the blue section. So let's see if we can match which one it is. So the y-intercept here is between -3 and 1. So -3 and 1. So does that fall between -3 and 1? Absolutely it does. Okay, and then an x-intercept from the interval 3 to 5, absolutely. So it just happens to be the first choice is correct. All of the other ones do not make sense. Okay, question number 16, 1 equals log, once again, base 10, doesn't show you that. It says what's the value of r over y? Okay, I don't know, I'm kind of stuck. So I'm just gonna rewrite it. I'm gonna say 10 to the power 1 equals r over y. So 10 to the power 1 is equal to just 10, isn't it? So it's going to be D. All right, we haven't talked about this, but this is actually pretty like common sense. I just want to say that an experiment is when you actually have a treatment. The person is actually doing something to affect the outcome. An observation is absolutely no intervention. They are sitting back and watching. They're not doing anything to affect results whatsoever. A sample survey is when you are asking people for their opinions, asking questions, and then a census is when all people are asked to participate. Okay, so if a teacher is researching a new method to help people learn math skills, the teacher randomly selects 20 students. 10 of the students are randomly selected to try a new online program, and the other 10 don't try anything new. So this teacher is actually giving 10 of these students a new online program. So they are applying a treatment. This means that this is an experiment. Okay, question on independence versus dependability. It says student rolls a number cube twice. Rolling a number cube once and then rolling it again has literally no effect on the other. So that means that they are definitely going to be independent. So these are out. This one says because the first will not affect. This is correct. It will not affect it. The second one makes no sense. It says they're independent because they will affect. Nope. All right, next question. The student solved the equation. It's the cube root equation, and then it shows kind of the work below, but we have some missing information. All right, so if I wanted to solve a cube root equation, the first thing I would do is take the cube of both sides. And let's see if I can eliminate anything here. Well, I'm not doing that in A or B. I am in C or D. So if I continue to finish this problem out, they want it with 17 equals 17. And then your answer should be equal to 1. So it is C. Okay, so in question number 20, if you're given a set of data, just make sure you use a capital letter, equals, open bracket, type in the data. How are we going to find the mean and standard deviation? Make sure you're using standard deviation of the population. So this is going to be choice A. Next question is asking us to do this. Now that means to add the functions together. So I'm just going to take f of x, which is x minus 1, and I'm going to add that to g of x, which is negative 3x plus 5. All you got to do is add like terms. That's 1 minus 3 is negative 2, and negative 1 plus 5 should be 4. So negative 2x plus 4. All right, the next one is testing your ability to understand function notation. Which one is true? So that means 3 of them are false. If you have a negative in front of the function, that means you're going to reflect over the x-axis. This is absolutely true. This one, you are going to be going to the right 3, so not left. This one, you will be going down 4, not left. And this one, you're actually going to be going left 5, and this says up 5. So these are all false. Okay, question number 23. We need to graph that on Desmos to really make an informed decision. We are looking for 2 statements that are true. Okay, I just want to warn you that when you're typing these into Desmos, make sure that you type in the entire thing, either y or f of x or h of t, because it will not show you anything until you do that. Okay, so now I have it graphed. Let's see if we can answer the question. It says the ball reaches a maximum height of 160. If you click on that, it looks like the highest it gets is 160. So A is definitely going to be true. Okay, the ball touches the ground after 5.162 seconds. So let's see where it touches the ground. Touches right here. It's hard to see. Oh, exactly 5.162. So it looks like I found my 2 true answers, and everything else does not work. All right, so this last one, yeah, it is the last one. Okay, so we are going to compare this to the g of x function. So g of x, it looks like what they've done is they've changed the 1.2 or the 1.3 into 1 plus the rate, remember? So you have a times 1 plus your growth rate. That is on your formula sheet, so hopefully it will help you remember that. So it looks like it is growing by 0.3, and you have to change the 0.3 into a percent. So it is definitely going to grow, not going to decay. Remember, decay is 1 minus the rate. So if it grows, it's going to grow by 30%, and that is the answer.